may as well jump straight on in and get started. So first of all, welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm your host, Danielle Jones, and I'm an occupational therapist myself and an area lead for a number of the offices here at Everyday Independence, including Ballarat, Bendigo, Shepparton and Launceston all the way down in Tasmania. Now, I actually started off at Everyday Independence as a volunteer for our social skills group in my 4th year of studies before joining as an OT new graduate myself back in 2017. That means I've now worked here for over 7.5, 8 years and counting. I've had the privilege of working in a number of different roles to grow my skills both clinically and operationally. Clinically, my passion is all around children and families. I knew straight away coming out of uni that I wanted to work in the world of paediatrics and was fortunate to have that caseload tailored to my interests. On that though, I've continued to expand into teenagers and now adults transitioning into new independent living arrangements. I've done extra training, I've taken on mentoring, done university tutoring, and I'm fortunate enough that I've been able to work very closely with a number of incredible clinicians within this organisation. I hope that I can be an example of someone who started off as a new graduate themselves, worked hard, had some career aspirations, and was fortunate to be provided with incredible opportunities to excel my career. Whilst this path hasn't always been linear, it has been exciting and empowering. So before I commence, I'd like to start off with an acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which our site is held. We pay our respect to elders past, present and future, thanking Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders for their continued connection to land, waters and community, and acknowledging the important role they play within our communities. Now, our why, what brings us together as an organisation, are the beautiful words presented on this slide. You'll notice that this is also the background for myself and also a number of the presenters tonight and the way we start all meetings at Everyday Independence. This why is a reminder on our purpose and why we are all here. This is what we try to achieve at Everyday Independence every day. We're very passionate about this and we've been working in the NDIS since the beginning of their trial period. It became very apparent to us 3 to 4 years into the NDIS that the bar was set very low for people living with a disability. We are very motivated to now raise that bar. And we've done that by creating evidence across the globe and started to look at what is actually possible for people living with a disability when it comes to therapeutic supports and building the capacity of support networks around them. And this is how we created the Everyday Way, which is we strive to lead every day to support individuals, their families, communities, and our nation to be global leaders for inclusion. This is saying let's make inclusion possible for all Australians and let's lead the globe in doing that. The NDIS is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and leading the way in this space. Opportunity to not only be national leaders, but global leaders to really change the way and opportunities for people living with a disability. So how we achieve this is having a really clear promise, vision and purpose. Our promise is at our core and all of our efforts and commitment to empowering individuals, ensuring everyone has an opportunity to actively engage in their communities. Our vision is that all Australians have the skills and confidence to engage in their everyday life as valued community members, regardless of their background or their abilities. They all deserve equal opportunities to fully participate in their society. So our purpose is we push harder. We want to make inclusion possible for everyone. That means it's not just a goal for us, it is an action. We work to break down barriers that hinder community involvement with our purpose of driving lasting. Our organisation has 5 beautiful but very clear values. As you can see on there, we have change the game, inspire with the belief, champion the person, simplify and go, and also one team with purpose. We embody our values in everything we do, which are closely aligned with the social model of disability. These values resonate with every individual and stakeholder within the EI team and brand. So whether you're a participant or you're using our services, you're an EI employee, we are all focused on building skill, confidence, and achieving personal goals. So change the game means that we want to change it for people living with a disability by accelerating social change and speaking up with respect and pushing more to focus on persons' abilities and being part of the solution. Inspire with belief means that we envision all the possibilities for someone and inspire them to believe in themselves to make inclusion truly possible. Champion the person means that we're using person-centered practices that are central to our work. It embodies a social model and best practice. We're dedicated to championing each individual by focusing on their strengths and empowering them to engage in everyday life. And simplify and go means we keep it simple. We remove the noise and focus on what's important for people with disability and also our practitioners in our everyday work practices. And lastly, one team with purpose is at our core and unites us all around our shared purpose and why, those key slides that I talked to earlier. We share our skills, our knowledge, and build the potential of others, celebrating our unique skills, our backgrounds, and culture that brings everyone together as a team. We learn by doing and working alongside each other, and we're also accountable for what we say we're going to do. And along the way, we enjoy those everyday moments and have some fun. So what is the everyday way? Well, the everyday way is how we do it here at Everyday Independence. And the way I'd like to first describe this is with a bit of a story that perfectly captures it. So an OT was referred to submit an assistive technology request through for a new wheelchair for a participant. However, during the assessment, it was discovered that the real issue wasn't the need for a new wheelchair, but the large pothole on the path on the way to the local shops. All it took was contacting the local council to fill the pothole. The story highlights the importance of removing the barriers from the environment rather than focusing on the person's disability. Once the pothole was fixed, the participant was able to get to the shops easily. Now, that is a perfect example of what the social model is and what we are all about here. As a change maker, the key focus is on what someone can do rather than what they can't. By highlighting someone's abilities and potential, we can inspire others to see what those possibilities are and see beyond limitations. So the Everyday Way has proven that for over 25 years, the most impactful way to create positive change is with team-based community approaches. It means that we're measuring outcomes and demonstrating on a return on investment that money being spent is making an impact. So we do that with a social model. We also strive to deliver interdisciplinary services, meaning that we're working holistically and alongside our other team members. We're using the Everyday Lead tool, which is an acronym for Life Enhancing Ability Development System, which is a unique tool at Everyday Independence that was developed with research teams about 2 years ago and is a great way to truly focus on someone's potentials and unpack with them what they want to accomplish in their life. We also use Habit Coaches, which is our allied health assistant workforce, as a cost-effective and effective way to build habits and routines and work in sprints, which means we push beyond the norm of traditional weekly or fortnightly therapy services and instead focus on the fact that we want to build a skill for someone, set them up for success, and transition out. That means we want to grow their skills so that we aren't required and that they can sustain that change themselves. Through doing this, we're meeting the goals and the outcomes of the NDIS, which ensures that we're providing better value outcomes, smarter use of funding, and actually creating more impactful, lasting change. So we're looking for people to come in and learn these skills alongside us, and we're looking for people as well with experience to continue to mentor, guide, and become subject matter experts within this organisation so we can continue to build upon the skill set within this team and also influence these newer generation of therapists coming through. So why should you work in disability? Well, first of all, I'm quite biased, but it's absolutely fantastic. Working in the sector is incredibly rewarding. and you have an opportunity to build on long-term connections with participants and getting to know them, understand what's meaningful from them, from their perspective. You're working with people over a longer period of time and really seeing sustainable change. So on this slide, I actually have a number of our colleagues on display there who are truly our subject matter experts and the people truly leading the way for the everyday way and social model of disability. We have incredible infrastructure within this organisation to continue to change people's lives within the disability sector. So on here, you can see our change makers influencing the NDIS sector, and many of these team members have actually presented at several conferences across Australia last year and also this year. As you can see, those names are listed there, including our SPA conference, the Australasian Academy of CP, Developmental Medicine, and the OTA Exchange. These clinicians who are across best practice in their field share their clinical knowledge with us every day, their resources and clinical supervision, and we'll be very fortunate to hear from one of them very shortly. So let's introduce our panel. First of all, we have the wonderful Trish Hill, who is our clinical educator and physiotherapist. We're also joined by three wonderful graduates, Ashlyn Barnes, Benjamin Cooper, and Alicia Wakefield. And as I mentioned, I've also introduced myself earlier, but all of us have incredible stories that we would love to share with you all tonight. But first, Trish, I'm going to hand it straight over to you. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Danielle. That was a lovely intro that you started there already. So thank you for that. I hate talking about myself, but I'm fortunate enough to have the position of being the clinical education lead and the physiotherapy lead at Everyday Independence. I've worked with the organisation for over a decade now, probably closer to 12 years. And I've stayed here for a reason because it's such a great organisation in terms of opportunity, and also really I've got a really close value alignment with the why of the organisation, which is behind all of us and which you spoke nicely to before, Danny. My background's physiotherapy, and my passion is working with young children and families. So I've got a key worker background also, and I've done lots of high complexity AT prescription over the years. And really for me, it's about having a supportive culture which supports lifelong learning, because as professionals, that's what it's all about. We learn forever. So the organisation gives lots of opportunities for professional growth, and really looking at that knowledge the knowledge translation from the evidence and the research into practice. And we know there's usually such a lag between knowing what best practice is and putting it into practice, and we work hard to really close that gap through the way that we implement the Everyday Way. So graduates with us, we really work closely with you to unlock what your clinical passion is. And the way that we do that is by giving you a broad, varied caseload so that you can try lots of different things and see what really, floats your boat, what really ignites your passion. So one of the ways we do that is through the clinical supervision that you receive with us, which helps to identify your strengths, your clinical interests, and that's delivered in a group environment and also one-on-one with a clinical mentor who's the same discipline as you. We also have access to a career coach who's been a great support to me over the years to help you come up with an individualised learning plan, which we call a GROW plan. Another really great way to learn is to be part of an interdisciplinary team, and that's something we do in all of our sites so that you're learning alongside your colleagues, you're learning on the ground, and gaining knowledge from all the different perspectives that different members of the team have who are different disciplines. We do offer 7 different clinical career pathways for you to build your clinical career and really find the career that you're going to love for life. And we'll talk more about the learning and development opportunities that we offer here that will really help you to shape the caseload that reflects your interests and passions. So let me talk a bit about the first 12 months. So the graduate program at Everyday Independence is very structured, and really is more like an apprenticeship or an extra year of uni, in that we offer a curriculum which looks at what are the skills that you need if you're going to work in disability. So it covers all of those bases, if you like, to really set you up for a career in this industry, but also helps to bed down and lay really good foundations in your discipline-specific skills. So I think we uniquely address both of those learning needs over the 12 months. So to give you an example, some of the disability-specific areas that we cover are, clinical reasoning skills, reflective practice, coaching, which is just such a fantastic clinical skill to have, the active support model, so getting that just right amount of support for people and how do we optimize their opportunities, as well as an introduction to some of those broader skills that may not be your discipline, but that you need to know about if you're working in disability. Things like working with people who communicate using multi-modes, people who communicate in lots of different ways, as well as in understanding behaviours and where behaviours come from and what's happening for people when they're using behaviours to communicate. So some of those skills that might not be your discipline, that really help you to be the most effective and impactful clinician that you can be. So I think we've talked, already about the importance of that supervision, and I'll go into a bit more detail about what that looks like over time. So when you start with us, the first 4 weeks is all about seeing one and doing one. So that way of learning where 70% is on the job, where you're getting to do, 20% is collaborative learning with your colleagues and supervisor, and 10% is that formal learning where you're getting the theory. So we know that's a good way to learn. So that's the way we structured our induction. We give you all the tools and knowledge you need up front. So we really front load you with that so that you can go out and start putting into practice with participants, because that's when it starts to make sense. And then from months 2 to 5, we really look to consolidate those skills in understanding the flow at Everyday Independence, what our cycle looks like, our therapy cycle, with that regular support from a supervision group and your individual mentor, as well as learning opportunities through that time too. And then it continues on from there, from months 6 to 12, where you start to do that grow plan with a career coach and really explore, hang on, what's really making me most excited to come to work? Who are the people that I see that really I feel like I want to learn more about that? I want to see more people in that area. So that's where we start to explore that in that second 6 months of your graduate year. So let's have a look now at what that first week looks like. So your first week with us is pretty busy. So, strap yourself in, because it's a wild ride that first week. You get loads of information. Day 1's all about learning about our organisation, learning why we do what we do and how we work as a team. Day 2, so that's we start on a Tuesday. So day 2 is a Wednesday. You're out at your hub. You meet your local team. You meet your clinical supervisor. You'll meet your team leader. You'll get to know what your hub looks like and really get to know your team, which is a really lovely day. And in the afternoon, you get to go out with your supervisor and see what it looks like in practice, all that you're learning about. And then day 3 and 4 is your clinical induction. So that's where you get your clinical learning about our therapy cycle and how we do the everyday way. So you've learned a bit about why already, and then it's what does it actually look like? How do we do assessments? How do we do planning? Because that's something we do really well, is therapy planning. How does our intervention look? You talk a lot about the social model, but that really will help you to see what does that look like in practice. So week 1's busy. Week 1's busy. You'll have all the information. You won't be expected to know everything, but you will be exposed to a lot of learning in that first week. From there, from week 2, 3, and 4, so that's your induction is over a 4-week period, you'll start to gradually put that into practice with that whole view of see one, do one with your clinical supervisor. So your supervisor will, you'll be shadowing them. They'll come out and see you do some of your sessions, and then off you go when you've got those skills to do that. So that's what week 2 and 3 looks like. You'll be moving more towards independent practice. And week 4 is more the mentoring check-ins, and we work through with you a checklist to make sure, have I covered everything? Am I happy with what I've covered? Do I have anything outstanding that I want to keep learning in this time in terms of getting to know the organisation? I wanted to just draw your attention to peer coaching, really exciting initiative that we are introducing again. We've done it in the past. We're introducing it again next year because we loved it so much. It's the concept where you can month get together with other graduates and support each other. So we'll train you, we'll give you the tools to use, and you'll be able to support each other in reflective practice in a small group learning environment where you can feel really safe and secure to just learn together. You'll be able to explore professional issues together, celebrate your wins, debrief if you feel like you need a debrief, you've had a tricky session, and also share ideas and perspective about clinical scenarios that are happening for you. Really excited that that's coming back. So this slide is there's a bit going on because there is so much support available to you from the word go, really. So from that first month, I'll get you to go back a bit, Danielle, thanks. So we are all about work-life balance. You'll learn as part of an interdis team. You'll learn and experience that hub life where there's always exciting, fun things happening at your hub and getting to know your team and being a real, becoming a team together. Your admin support is always super helpful at the hub, so you'll get to know them in your first week. And that discipline-specific supervision that you'll receive, and which will be ongoing, I'm sorry, I just feel like I'm in a cave. I feel like I need a little bit more light. I'm getting darker as the sun goes down. Oh, that's better. Let there be light. It was too bright before. Sorry, I'm interrupting myself. So the supervision, I was saying, really great to help you explore your journey of your learning with your own discipline. You'll have shadowing and observations with that supervisor as well, group peer supervision, as well as the peer coaching. Communities of practice is something that we offer. So every month you can go along to, so I'm a physio, I might go to the physio community practice, see what the learning topic is, learn a bit more about hydrotherapy or about adaptive cycling, or whatever it is that then I can build my learning and skills in my discipline as well. So that's an additional support. We've got everyday therapy mentoring, which is a bit like a phone a friend. So you can be out there and say, I've just got this question and I'm not sure, and I can't get onto my supervisor right now. They're in a session, so I'm going to go to everyday therapy mentoring, where you can just ask a question. So that's available 4 days a week. On that one day that you're at your hub is the only day we don't offer that. So I just really love this quote from Charlotte, who is at one hub over from me, who's now become a mentor, who started off as a new graduate with us. And Charlotte says she never felt out of depth because she always had the support of her therapy mentors and team members to help her through any challenging or new situations. I just thought that was really nice. So what does it look like in practice? So this is maybe what your week might look like if as a therapist at Everyday Independence. If we have a look at this week, the purple times are where you'll be face-to-face with participants, for example, doing a visit, because we do all of our sessions, other than telehealth, all of our sessions where people are, where they live, where they work, where they play, because we know that's what works and that's what the social model is all about. Blues, travel. So you might be traveling, up to half an hour. For those of us in the metro area, Danielle's a bit more regional, so she knows a bit more about what regional travel looks like. And green is your admin time, where you might be doing a bit of catch up with administrative tasks. And all of your orange there is supervision and mentoring. Your yellow's team meeting. So this is one example of what your week might look like, but it doesn't have to look like this. As long as you're covering what you need to cover to really make that impact in your role. Maybe you're better in the mornings and you want to start a bit early and finish a bit late. Finish a bit early too. You don't want to start early and finish late, but you might start early, finish early. Similarly, you might be better at the other end of the day and want to just shift your day that way a little bit. I know for me, it's all about Friday afternoons. I like to finish a bit early on Friday afternoons. So I'll tend to front load my week a little bit to enable me to do that and have that flexibility. So if there's something that you really don't want to miss and you want to have that work-life balance and you do yoga on a Thursday and it starts at 5, there's no reason why you can't still do that. It's about just working with the supports around you to help you flex your calendar into what you want it to be. That's it from me, Danny.
Thank you so much, Trish. I'd love to see if there's any questions for you directly in the chat, but there is so much information to take away from that. What would be your key message for our graduates listening?
I think really my key message is that we've got you. There's a lot of support. Don't get overwhelmed by all of the supports. There's people there to help you navigate that support as well. There's some supports I didn't even touch on, but there's someone there to help you. You'll have a team leader who's there to help you at the hub, and you'll have your dedicated supervisor who's there to help you navigate the system. So you won't feel alone. You'll really feel part of a team. And I just want everyone to come away knowing that that support will be there for them.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Trish. And I can't see anything coming through the chat myself, but if you'd like, have a bit of a look. And if you do have questions for Trish as we go through, she'll be on there. But I'd love to now move across for our graduates and actually hear from them about their experiences. So Ashlyn, if you're happy, take yourself off mute. I'd love it if you could introduce yourself to our listeners.
Of course. I'm Ashlyn. I'm a new grad OT. So I started at Everyday Independence in November as a habit coach, which gave me a really good transition into being a therapist in February this year. So I already knew the systems when I started, and I felt really, really confident coming into the role.
Beautiful. And my first question is, coming into your role, in what ways were you individually supported in your grad year?
Starting as a habit coach was probably the best support I could get because I knew exactly what to expect on day one as a new therapist. It also let me, learn about the new therapists in the hub that I was going to be working with and really hit the ground running. I also have a therapy mentor called Lisa, and I meet with her once a week. So these sessions are very much directed by me. It's just a really good opportunity for me to ask any questions and make sure I'm on the right track. But everyone in the hub is really welcoming and supportive. So if I have a question, there's always someone I can ask, and there's always someone I can problem solve with. Like I know Danny's definitely helped me quite a few times as well when there's been no one to help. I guess, for example, one day I was looking for a small hand device for a participant to help her open the seals on tomato sauce bottles because she couldn't use a knife to do it. So we couldn't find an appropriate solution online, and I asked other people in the hub, and we ended up having someone get their husband to 3D print one, which was really cool. But yeah, it just goes to show there's so much support for everyone there.
I love how creative it is. That's fantastic. And what do you find so rewarding about working at Everyday Independence?
Oh, so many things. Being able to see people in their, their home environment and see them at their best. Like working in a hospital environment, you're only really seeing people at their worst and for a really small amount of time. You get to build these relationships with people and, meet their pets and meet their family, talk to them about what they're passionate about and see them do things they're passionate about, which is just not an experience you get to have in other settings.
And going into natural environments can be a little bit intimidating initially. As a new graduate, how do you make the most of the time that you're in the car between those appointments and seeing people from house A to house B?
It really depends on, I guess, the person. Sometimes, I'll do my emails, my phone calls in the car. I'll stop and have lunch in a nice park. If I'm having a bad day, I might go for a walk in the sun. It's just really nice to have that flexibility, and you don't really feel like you're working all day. You feel like you're doing those little short bursts and, spending some time outside, which is really nice.
Love that, particularly with this warmer weather coming around, more opportunity to get out and about. So, I'd love to know what's next for you, Ashlyn. Where do you see your options for career growth at Everyday Independence, and what are you leaning towards?
It's such a difficult question because there's so many interesting areas of OT. And, I haven't really made up my mind in what I want to do. I had a career coaching session recently, which helped to give me some direction. but it also opened up more opportunities that I didn't really know existed. So a lot more to think about. I've been to quite a few professional develop events so far. So I went to a mid-cost assistive technology prescription training, mental health first aid, the coach approach training, and I've also been to things that different suppliers have put on, like prescribing manual wheelchairs and recliners and some falls prevention stuff, but also starting to look into some external ones as well, because Everyday Independence gives you an external professional development budget as well. So looking into things like hoarding. Yeah, I'm hoping maybe to go into home modifications in the end, but I might change my mind.
And I think you just summarized it so beautifully. There's so much flexibility depending on where your passions are and interests. So thank you so much for sharing your experiences so far, Ashlyn. Really love hearing from you and also working so closely with you within our Bendigo team.
Thank you.
I'd love to move across to you, Benny. Benny, would you like to introduce yourself? Well, Benny seems to have frozen at the moment. So what I'll do is I might just come back to you, Benny.
There we
Alicia,
go.
oh no, you're back.
That was
Fantastic.
the
All
worst
working.
time. All right, cool. Yeah, hi, I'm Benny Cooper. I've been with EI for nearly 2 years now. And I'm an OT down at the Peninsula Hub. It's a little bit
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And so I'd love to hear from you, first of all, if you could tell me more about the support you've received in your graduate year.
Yeah, definitely. So right from get-go, I was assigned a mentor, and that mentor, she mentors me weekly. She's actually an OT, which kind of helped as well. So it was really tailored to exactly what I was doing. I have a team leader as well, so I was supported through team leader check-ins. I was supported from other OTs in the hub and also interdisciplinary staff. So we work alongside speech pathologists, physios, key workers, a lot of different disciplines. So that's awesome having that different sides of support and teamwork as well. We also have a different area lead than Danielle, who's also excellent. And they, at the time, there was also a different one back then, but they would check in with me constantly as soon as I first started. And then within the first few weeks as well, I was supervised, kind of like what Trish was saying. So I was instantly feeling really supported throughout that time. I was feeling confident and capable by having someone else next to me, and that was actually my mentor. So yeah, it helped all the sessions run really smoothly. We also had admin support. So admin are there throughout the working hours, I could call them whenever I had some tech issues, even Wi-Fi going wrong tonight. They're excellent. So we've got everyday therapy mentoring as well. So I might be going over things that we've already discussed, but at least it's reiterating it. And also had a career coach as well. So I was getting my growth plan developed instantly by Sally Smith. She was excellent. So yeah, having such a vibrant, encouraging and open team enabled me to really feel supported right from get-go. And I guess the usual stresses when you first start a new job can kick in really heavy, especially on your first day, meeting new people. It's all different, but being at EI, I was really supported right from the first day. And I never really felt like I was being left behind. I think that quote earlier really stood by. But yeah, you never really feel alone. So that was really fantastic.
And all the time, Benny, we hear about billable hours, KPIs in the industry. Could you tell me a bit more about your experience when meeting client-facing targets and what the rest of your week actually looks like?
Yeah, definitely. So we have a 38-hour week. That's what we all go by. So initially, as a new grad to begin with, you do 24 client-facing hours per week, which is known as your KPI. So you're probably wondering what that other 14 hours per week looks like. So that includes admin, mentoring, sometimes travel, team meetings, emails to families, liaising with teachers and supports. So there's a lot of other times you're actually spending besides actually seeing participants as well. And so from there, after 6 months, you then go up to 25, and that's generally when you feel a bit more confident, 25 client-facing hours. So boost up by 1. The good thing about this company is that they really ease you into it, make sure you feel comfortable, get behind you, and then after a year, it goes up to 26. And by that stage, according to like what we saw earlier with Trish's timetable, you really develop some really good time management skills, and you're feeling comfortable and confident as a clinician. The company also offers some extra, I guess, overachieving opportunities. So that's also what's called REM loading. So I've opted in for that one. That enables me to do a few extra hours per week, and it's a few extra hours of client-facing hours, and so that really gives you a bit of a bonus, bit of overtime pay. And then there's also what's called flex loading, and for flex loading is sometimes we have busy weeks, participants need reports done, so you might go overtime and do a certain amount of hours over. Everyday independents acknowledge that, and they will pay you overtime for that. Or I believe Trish was touching base on it with the timetable management, is that you can opt for flexi time. So having your Friday afternoons off. I'm a big golf fan, so yeah, I generally start early. Some days I finish pretty late as well, and so then I get the Friday afternoons off to play golf, which is amazing. So yeah, work-life balance is a huge thing to me, and I think it's something that I definitely feel supported through Everyday Independence for.
Oh, absolutely love that. I'd happily join you for a game of golf on the Friday afternoon. That sounds pretty good to me. Have there been other options to work flexibly from home versus the office?
Yeah, definitely. Yep. So there's so many opportunities. So with how you can tailor your timetable, you might have a lot of reports one week, and you might go, gee, I need to spend a day to jump into these and not see anyone face to face. So Everyday Independents are happy for you to work from home or from the office. I love to work at the office because there's people around me. But you might have a complete day where you do all the reports in the office. Yeah, and so you can really tailor your timetable to suit where you're going, what you're doing. It's really cool. Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. And Benny, we've heard from Ashlyn around her career aspirations. I'd actually love to know, what are yours?
Yeah, awesome. So I aspire to work pretty hard and follow the company's values every day. I really live by the inspiring with belief value, championing the person, and working as one team with purpose. Also, during our weekly team meetings, we remind ourselves every week about the company's vision, which is on our background. And we go through each of the team's wins and successes as well. So my career aspirations are to continuously seek growth and avoid complacency as an OT. To be honest, I love that there's always new opportunities for us as OTs, personally and professionally as well with our development. So that really gets me up and gets me raring for the day. So it's my goal every week to strive to invest in my own growth so that I can better support and empower the participants and families I see, and that hopefully then they can achieve their goals from there. Some ways I intend to grow through developing my learning is learning more about assistive technology. I love to learn more about that, home mods, harnessing my skills with all age groups, developing my leadership skills, and also understanding the company's processes. So there's quite a bit there. Even what Ashlyn was saying about delving into a bit of home mods. It's really cool that Everyday Independence just offers so much, and there's always ways of growing more and more. So that's fantastic. I've also enjoyed recently being a placement supervisor for 2 students, and working alongside key workers as well within our company to help build their capacity. But I'll love to achieve a leadership position within the company in the next years to come. But yeah, although you can do independent growth, my biggest aspirations are the participants I work alongside. You won't actually realize until you first start, but I'll tell you what, they bring me so much joy. We get selected specific participants that we see. And I guess the continuity of care that we do as community OTs, as opposed to hospitals, whereas big intake, is we get to really know the participants we see, understand them, and just build a relationship on a personal level and professionally. And so I think you really take those wins that they have into your own life. So yeah, that's something I can hopefully give you guys to take away with, but I appreciate you all listening in.
And Betty, so inspiring just listening to you, and massive smile on my face, because I think we all on this screen know the feeling of when we see a family after a few sessions, we hear a win that they've had between appointments, or we get that phone call from a parent going, guess what? You wouldn't believe what's just happened. It's just the best. It's such an amazing adrenaline rush and such a beautiful reminder as to why we do what we do every day.
Couldn't agree more.
Thank you so much, Benny. I know there'll be lots of questions for you, so keep an eye out on the chat just in case any come through. But I'd love to move across to our third and final graduate to hear from tonight, Alicia. Alicia, take yourself off mute. Introduce yourself.
Hello, so I'm Alicia. I'm a speech pathologist. I graduated from university at the end of last year, and I started with Everyday Independence through the Everyday Flying Start program at the beginning of this year.
Beautiful. And look, Alicia, we've heard so much about the different types of support here in the Everyday Flying Start program. I'd love to know, as a speech pathologist, what's been the most impactful support you've received during that program?
It's really hard to choose because there's so many different areas that I've been supported in. I think especially my one-on-one mentor has been really, really impactful. She's always willing to help me out. She's always willing to give me advice, but also there have been times where she's come and asked me for advice, because at uni I've learned about the most recent research, and she loves hearing about that from me. And that's been really empowering for me to actually have her show me that I do have knowledge that I've gained through my degree, and I do have wisdom to share. But yeah, she's also super sweet. She encourages me when I'm struggling with my caseload, but also when I'm struggling with, sleep, if I've had a bad night. She's willing to help me learn how to manage my caseload through that. If I've been sick, she is always willing to help me with the practical aspects of what I'm doing, and not just manage the hours that I'm working. That's been really good. And she's very supportive with the different areas that I'm interested in, and has helped me find different courses that I can do. So I think the one-on-one mentoring has been really good for me.
She has been absolutely fantastic, and I've been able to see the beautiful, almost partnership that the two of you have developed over the course of the last 9 months. You've mentioned in what you were saying just about that work-life balance, if I'm sick, what do I do? Or, sometimes you might be having a bigger week, or finding that you're taking work home with you, just even mentally. How do you maintain that sense of work-life balance and keep it sustainable?
So occasionally it's been a bit of a challenge for me, because I have quite a few participants that I really, really enjoy working with. I quite often come into the office talking about, the successes that they've had or the difficulties. And so I've been really passionate about what I've been able to do. Everyday Independence has really targeted what I've done to my areas of interest. I love pediatrics. I think I have some of the cutest clients in the world. The participants that I work with are really motivating, but that also comes with, I guess, a feeling of, a drive to help them. And sometimes that's too much. Or sometimes some of my participants are going through a tough patch, or they need some reports really quickly, or something new has come up and they could use quite a few extra sessions. And so I have struggled to balance adding in those extra hours versus taking time out and making sure that what I'm doing is sustainable. And so my mentor and my team leader have both sat down with me at different times. They've made sure that, one, I'm getting compensated for the extra time that I'm doing, which has been really wonderful. But also I had my team leader sit down with me, and she said to me, I really appreciate all the extra work that you're doing. However, I also want to make sure it's sustainable. And so she talked me through, how to handle my calendar, if there are regular participants that I can move a few sessions a couple weeks later, different things like that. But I found it really impactful to me to have my boss come and, instead of saying, oh, you're doing great work, I want you to keep working harder, to say, hey, you're doing great work, but I want to make sure you're okay. I want to make sure that you're going to be able to keep doing this. Let's find a way to make this sustainable. And having people in the office check in on me, all the different team members are really good at, noticing you as a person, not just you as a therapist, and checking in to see how you're doing. So that's been really good.
And thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's a reality of working in this industry. We know we have so many participants on wait lists waiting for support across Australia, and they're very eager to see us. So if they could see us 24 hours a day, I'm sure people would absolutely take us up on that, but we have to keep it sustainable for ourselves. Often within the speech community, we hear people want to know whether to work in more of a community-based role or working in a clinic-based role, if it's right for them. I'd actually love to know, why did you choose community, and what's your experience been so far?
So yeah, I chose to work in the community because I find I get a much better perspective of my participants. I'm able to see how they're going at home. I'm able to see how they're going at school. I'm able to see when their family is doing really well or when they're under stress at home. I can know whether if I assign home practice, I'm able to see that week whether the family is doing really well, whether they're going to be on top of it, or whether they might need a reduced load that week because there are different aspects going on in their lives. I'm just able to see, their home environment, their personal life, their family life a lot more, and I'm able to connect with them a lot more easily. I find that when I'm in a clinic room, the participants tend to be, on guard, and especially when I'm working with little kids. Little children, they are in a new environment and they don't know what's happening. They tend to be very scared, and it takes quite a while to warm up to you. However, with these little, the young children that I'm working with, when they're at home, they always have something new to show you. There's something exciting that they've just gotten, and you're really able to see the person rather than just, analyze a problem and try and solve it for them. You're actually able to see, hey, this is how you're practically handling this. It's not actually a problem. What is difficult for you is some other area, and you're able to target it to how they're actually going. So yeah, that's why I really enjoy the community-based aspect to this.
And my last question for you, from a community sense of, where are some of the environments you go to? Because often we hear about home primarily, that's the primary place that we visit, but where else have you visited over the last 9 months?
There's quite a few. So yes, I've visited homes, lots of homes. That's been great. However, I have also visited a couple schools. That's been really good to see how the participants are going at their school, how their teachers are supporting them, how I can support their classroom. I've visited a lot of kinders. That's been really good. And I've even had some kinder teachers take the therapy resources that I'm using for one participant and use it for the rest of the classroom and implement the practice in class while they're doing activities at kinder. So that's been really good. And then I also have the opportunities to take the participants elsewhere if needed. So there's one participant that I've found has really been struggling to engage in therapy. He's been through quite a few therapists in his time, and he's starting to find it a little bit difficult. And so because we were struggling with that, we've been talking about, would you like to go to a cafe for our next session? Would you like to go bowling for our next session? What's something that we can do that will help you open up? Would you like to go for a walk in the little bush area next to your house? And so there've been quite a few different situations that I've been able to be in, quite a few different places that I've been able to enjoy working with the participants. It's been really wonderful.
I love it. No one day is the same. So Alicia, watch out for the chats. I'm sure there'll be some questions coming your way, but thank you so much. And thank you for all of our pre-graduates for sharing your experiences so beautifully and how different they have been as well. So in summary, I hope your key takeaway message is we got you. We understand what that new graduate year is like and that it's such an incredible learning curve of going from student to practitioner, and you will make mistakes along the way, and that's okay. We have a growth mindset here, and that's the way that we actually learn and develop in this industry. So we'll support you with the structured graduate learning program. We'll understand what it takes to work within the NDI sector and in the community. We'll give you the supports that will enable you to do your best work on the ground or accessible through our whole organisation. You'll be eligible for the PD budget, which is your new graduate year is $1,000. And then after your first 12 months, that actually increases as well to $1,500. And in short, you'll be supported every step of the way. And along the way, you'll also get some perks as well. So I might just talk to some of those things that our graduates or Trish haven't spoken to yet. So there are a number of different health and wellbeing opportunities, including access to our EAP program, which is online, phone counselling, text counselling, telehealth, or in-person support that you can access at any stage, both to support your mental health and well-being within your role, but also just within your life. So that's a wonderful perk that we've talked a lot about in light of Are You OK Day as well. We've also got discounts through our online program, which is our payroll system of Employment Hero. And we also have wellbeing days, which are 2 days a year, taken approximately every 6 months from one another to actually stop, take a rest, look after yourself and switch off. We really encourage people to book those ones in advance so that you've got something really nice to look forward to in your calendar. And I like to book them when you don't have that burst of public holidays in the middle of winter. We have so much flexibility, not only within your role, within your calendar, so you can really design what works for you, but we also have what's called purpose leave, which is the opportunity to be able to take up to 12 months off from everyday independence, go volunteer, do something exciting, move overseas, travel, you name it, and then know that you can return back to your role at the end of that period. We also have purchase leave though, which is the opportunity to be able to expand on the amount of leave that you have accrued so that you can take some extra time off for school holidays to be with your kids, time off to be able to do that big Europe trip that you've been planning once you finish off university. So you can actually expand on that, whether it's 4 weeks, 2 weeks, an extra 1 week, you name it, we open up that conversation. From a growth perspective, PD. I've spoken about PD budget. You're eligible to $1,000. And we really actually strive to encourage people on where they can access PD. You'll find that once you start in the industry, you go, hang on, I know OT Australia or I know Physiotherapy Australia, but where else do I actually go for these incredible resources? We track all of that. So when a team member attends a PD, we list it down so we can have that opportunity potentially for other practitioners to attend. Career coaching, I know, has been at the heart of myself, Trish, and a number of our graduates here really love that opportunity to take the moment to actually digest how do you professionally want to grow within your role as a clinician. There's the dedicated induction program, a lot of learning and development opportunities, but the things that aren't listed on here are actually things about our cars and our vehicle options. And we have a number of different options, which includes a number of company vehicles within some of our hubs. So you can just book that out in advance, take it out for your appointments and then return. We also do kilometre reimbursement, which is at 88 cents per kilometre travelled. And you just put that through as an expense once a fortnight and get that reimbursed in your pay. And probably the last most popular option at the moment is actually getting a company vehicle as well, which means a portion of your pay each fortnight goes towards a car that you can use for work, but also personally as well. And that covers your insurance, you get fuel cards. And it means if you're traveling down to Melbourne all the time, because you live in regional areas like me, it's a great way to get a huge benefit in your life. And lastly, parental leave. So parental leave is a huge part of us at Everyday Independence to make sure we're supporting people on that exciting family journey. So we've got a number of policies in place around that, but it requires continuous employment at Everyday Independence for 12 months before you're eligible for that. And then following that period, you're entitled up to 12 weeks paid parental leave, which is in addition to the government paid parental leave scheme. And it can be taken at half pay as well, so you can extend that period. So heaps of different package options here and huge number of bonuses as well. So as Benny mentioned, there's flexible REM loading if your week goes slightly over 1 week, or you can opt in for REM loading because you're really committed to earn a little bit of extra money as part of your fortnightly salary so that you can save towards something that's really meaningful for you. And we also have biannual bonuses as well in line with our key performance indicators. So that includes things like your weekly service delivery target, but our first key performance indicator is actually living and breathing the values. It's doing all of the therapy planning for our participants, mapping out supports, and really living our social model of practice. So there's huge ways to be able to build on your salary and create the package that works for you. It might mean expanding into leadership opportunities, taking on mentees, developing your skill sets in certain areas, but all of our information is really nice and flat for everyone, which makes it easy and accessible to know, well, how do I take that next step in my career to build on my earnings? Everyday wellbeing is so important for us. So across the calendar, we actually take a moment to really recognise the certain days and opportunities that we really need to celebrate within our hubs. As I mentioned, Are You OK Day was only last week, so a number of the hubs celebrated by getting access from our EAP systems, reaching out to each other in the hub, not only on that day, but every day, or celebrating by bringing in things, whether it's food, coffee, wearing certain colours. And we do that for all of our events. So one of my most favourite ones is International Day of People Living with a Disability, which is in December. But all of these opportunities are equally celebrated throughout the calendar year. So we're really celebrating this hub life. It's where we come together. It's vibrant, it's fun. And Wednesdays are the most probably celebrated day for us across the week. It's when our practitioners come together. And as you can see in the bottom left, it's usually when puppies and dogs come into the office as well. So we are a pet-friendly hub. I personally absolutely love and adore it because it means that we get to really just relax a little bit more and celebrate those moments together as a team. So whether it's food, coffee, dogs, absolutely bring them all in and have a good time. So in summary, lots of support. And at the moment as an organisation, we have approximately 900 employees, which is more than 600 practitioners, 40 sites, 6 states, expanding our reach for Queensland, Tassie, WA and New South Wales. Best way to remember, all states, not the territories. And every single state and hub is united around actually making participants have access to services for value for money with habit coach approaches, well thought out structured therapy plans, and really well-trained clinicians who are ready to take on the challenge. So for taking on a challenge, I encourage you to join our graduate program, which is coming up in February for 2025. Gemma is on tonight. She's here on the screen, but I've also included her contact details there on this slide. You can also access information on our website to learn more about the graduate program, or just simply email us. But I'd like to thank everyone for their time. I can't believe that we've landed this right on 7 o'clock, but we're all very happy to answer any questions that you have for us because we are an open book and happy to take on anything. I'll stop sharing my screen because I always find that so much easier to then respond to the questions coming through. So I can't see any in the chat. So what I'd love to start off with is, well, which one should we start
Danny,
with?
one's just come through.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's in the
Yeah.
Q&A as opposed to the
Q&A.
chat. It's in the Q&A. One has just come through.
Amazing. So thank you so much for all the speakers. Can I ask Ashlyn what the habit coach role involved and how that translated into your new grad role? Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So as a habit coach, you work under an allied health practitioner. So for me, it was mostly OTs. It would you'd go out like once a week for 6 to 8 weeks approximately, and see the person, work with the person on their goals. So for most of my participants, it involved doing something like helping them build their skills around a cleaning task or helping them build a routine. But it was just a really nice opportunity to get that insight into what my role would look like as an OT. And I also got to work with some of those participants that I saw as a habit coach as an OT when I started. So I actually knew some of the participants I had before I even got to start. I think there's actually a habit coach in here as well if she wants to expand on that. If Kate wants to expand on that. I know Kate's working with some of my participants at the moment. No, that's okay.
She may not, but she might respond to the chat there. I've also included a link to our Habit Coach opportunity as well on our careers slide. So if you are interested, jump on there. There's also a fantastic video that truly demonstrates what that model looks like as well. Thanks so much, Ashlyn. Can't see any others popping through, but Trish, correct me if I'm wrong, there's no others there at the moment.
I can't see anything else on the chat. We've got a quiet group, or maybe it's a hungry group, Danny. Maybe everyone's just hankering to go get their dinner as well, given it's 7 o'clock. A quiet session tonight. I did want to just fly the flag on behalf of physios. I know we had a few physios register tonight. We haven't had a grad physio speak tonight, so I'm sort of flying the flag. I'm a long way from a grad now, so it's not quite the same, I'm afraid, but we do have lots of physio graduates who come to join our program as well, and have been involved in it too. So just so that you know, it's absolutely, we target our learning and development to physiotherapists as well, so don't worry, you won't miss out.
Thanks, Trish. I love that. I can see that we've just had a few attendees jump off, so must be right. Dinner time is calling. One of the questions I always get in a job interview is, what's the hardest part of the job, or what's been something that you've learned along the way of working in this role? So I'd actually love to put that one towards our panelists. What's been a challenging moment?
Well, I guess flexibility. So you go in with a plan, and then often plans change. So I'd say that learning how to be flexible in a different environment that you're not generally used to was definitely a bit of a challenge. You can be in all sorts of environments and then get thrown with all sorts of different things. But I guess that's what we get trained for in university, and that's why we have such a supportive team to get us through, and like admin you can always call. But I guess that's what makes it really fun, because you can really expand yourself and take the positives out of that and get incorporate a growth mindset in those sort of situations.
Absolutely love that, Ben. You have to be adaptable. I think we go to see participants, and I saw one this afternoon, and plan A didn't go ahead and neither did plan B. So we had a plan C and something else that we just created in that moment to still target the same skills. Gemma, I'd love to know your perspective. You know, when you hear from new graduates coming through the careers team, what is it that they always want to know?
Oh, it's a good question. There's so much that they want to know. I think after listening to, you know, our panelists speaking this evening, there's so many different, you know, areas that they want to learn. There's so many different opportunities that they want to learn and grow in. And, you know, it's hugely around the support. You know, our graduate program probably is foremost what they're most interested in to hear, and what that looks like and how that's going to support them in their career, and the supervision and the clinical aspect of the supervision, and essentially because it is a community setting and it's different to, you know, an in-clinic or private or hospital setting, you know, it's obviously, lots of questions around that as well. And what does it look like? What's the everyday look like? How do you go out to the community and be in the office as well? And, you know, there's so much information. I love speaking to graduates to give them as much information as possible around, just what it would look like with us and the supports, and just the, you know, I think Everyday Independence as well has such fantastic internal processes and, you know, tools in place. And yeah, there's graduates are very keen and eager to know lots of information, which is really good to know that obviously they're really interested in their future career and how we as a company can support them in that.
Absolutely love that, Gemma. Thank you so, so much. I still can't see any other questions coming through the chat. I really encourage you guys, ask us the questions, whether it's through the chat or the Q&A. Happy to take them on. Alicia, what advice would you give to some of our new graduates if, you know, they're unsure as to what to do and they don't quite have a plan yet? What would you suggest?
I'd say look at your priorities. Do you value? Because for me, one of my top priorities that I'd been told by so many university lecturers, so many friends who are speechies or OTs, the top thing that I was always advised was find mentoring. Make sure that you've got someone who can help lead you, who can help grow you, who can help support you. So that was one of my priorities. And then, yeah, I found that this program really, that was one of the top things that it targeted. And so that's one of the many reasons, but one of the top reasons why I found that Everyday Independence worked for me. But yeah, I'd also say, yeah, make sure that you're not intimidated by things, especially at Everyday Independence. Everyone's very gentle on you. I've made so many mistakes, but others are willing to admit the mistakes that they've made as well. And rather than telling you, you know, how you should have done it better, people come alongside you. I've had Danielle come alongside me and say, hey, let's call this participant together. Let's see how we can work through this. And so you don't have to be scared of becoming, you know, a graduate, of making mistakes, of, you know, you don't have to be worried that you don't know everything, because that's the reason why there's so much mentoring. That's the reason why there's so much support. And that's the reason why we have such a great team here. Everyone knows that they've made their own mistakes. Everyone's been able to learn. Everyone's able to help you work through it and help guide you. So yeah, don't be afraid.
And what I love with this, Alicia, in that response is you can just see everyone's face on the screen here, just absolutely nodding alongside with it, because we've all been there, regardless of if you've worked for 1 month or 20 years, we all make mistakes. I've also seen a question come through for, is the graduate program also available for positive behaviour support roles? Wonderful question. Gemma, do you want to take that one, or would you like me to?
Oh, I don't mind. I'm happy to let you too if you'd like.
Go for it. Let me know if I miss anything out.
No
So
worries.
yes, it is. So if we went back a few years ago, it probably wasn't. And that was really because we were mapping out the pathway for the positive behaviour support program. However, we absolutely are. So we've had some trial of some new graduates come through probably over the last 12 months, really quite predominantly. And we are absolutely raring to go coming into 2025 as well. So if you are working in the positive behaviour support space and you're passionate about it, absolutely jump on in. It's a fantastic opportunity to really learn the ins and outs of behavior and, you know, what behavior actually means, which is always my favorite part of trying to understand what is this person trying to communicate to us. So in short, yes, should you do it? Absolutely. It's a wonderful program, and we had a NDIS audit completed back probably in, when was it, Trish? Back in March, April, sometime probably a few months ago. And one of the resounding bits of feedback that we had about our PBS program was that it was industry leading. And that's not me just saying it. That was a direct quote of the auditing process. So the ins and outs of how we've structured the program, but also the workflow for positive behaviour support is completely next level. So rest assured that you will be in good hands there.
Absolutely. And just to add to what Danny said, then I'm really excited about the curriculum for all of the focus programs and disciplines next year. But I'm just working with our advanced therapy mentors now, putting together the PBS one looks fabulous. So yeah, we're absolutely going to be targeting that learning each month as part of the curriculum for our graduates next year, to be exactly what they're wanting and needing to know in the field. So yeah, watch this space.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Tush. Our next question that we have is the program available for artificial intelligence students too? So I'm guessing that means a bit of an online student. I'm still studying but want to get a head start. Unfortunately, no. So it has to be a person who has the qualifications, has the APRA registrations, and they're ready to hit the ground running. But my advice for you though is if you are interested of trying to get some on the ground support, I would look into the Habit Coach opportunities. I would reach out to a hub that's close to you. As I mentioned at the beginning, I actually started as a social skills group program volunteer. So if you are really excited to try and get some experience, that would be my advice for you. Is this also available in Sydney? It's available all across Australia. So absolutely it is. There's a number of new graduate roles and positions that are live at the moment. So if you are interested, absolutely jump on there. But instead, I recommend actually just reaching out to Gemma directly. Gemma, I might pop your contact details just in the chat if that's all right, just because I've moved off the slide.
Oh, yeah, sorry, absolutely, yeah. Or I'm happy to just type in.
Yeah, that
either.
would be
Yeah,
wonderful.
no
Thank you
worries.
so much. Another question is, are you eligible for a PBS graduate position with a 3-year psychology degree, or do you need to do honours? Also, what other qualifications do you need or recommend in addition? Gemma, I love always giving the qualification questions over to the talent acquisition team. What are the qualifications that we do take for PBS?
Sorry, just take myself off mute. So qualifications for PBS would be across, primarily we see people maybe coming with a background in psychology, maybe social work background. Oh, I'm trying to think now, sorry, off the top of my head, actually, I may have a document here as well in front of me that will also, because there's quite a few different in that space, but yeah, so also within the sort of social science field, special education psychology, as I said, so yeah, they're predominantly and also obviously if somebody is a qualified occupational therapist, speech pathologist, or physio and would like to delve more into that space, you can come from our main core practitioner backgrounds as well.
And that list that Gemma's referring to, it's regularly added to as well. So we're constantly aligning in terms of what are the qualifications that are in alignment with the NDIS recommendations and requirements as well. So if in doubt, my advice is reach on out, and it might be something that we review and see if you do have those qualifications for it. Another one, which was, I do already have a bachelor's degree though. I hope that Gemma answered that question for you then as well. How many graduate roles are given each year? Oh, Trish, you do Everyday Flying Start and see a number of people come through the induction program. Do you think there's a set answer for that?
I think it does vary each year, Danielle, depending on the hubs and waitlists at hubs and things. But as you mentioned before, there's really a workforce shortage in disability. There's so many people out there just waiting on wait lists to try and access support. So I do encourage you not to be put off by thinking it's a restricted amount of people. We want to support as many individuals living with disability as we can. So express your interest. I think this year, oh my gosh, you're testing my memory, and memory is not my strong suit. But there was more than 50 this year, I believe. And, you know, we're looking for big numbers next year. So if you're interested, jump on board, because we want to support as many people in the community as possible.
And I also find I don't like necessarily being restricted by numbers as well, Trish, and I know you'd be the same. If someone is the right fit for this team and this model and this area of practice, then fantastic. I would have 100 graduates came in if we were all sharing this same vision here. But in the same way, if I was interviewing someone and I thought, look, it sounds like you really would actually prefer to work in an acute setting, in a medical world, in an in-clinic based role, then we're not going to be the organisation for you. So in many ways as well, I want to support our graduates to be on the right career path that aligns with what their priorities are, like what Alicia said earlier. So there isn't a number.
You're right.
And I think that's a good thing. So let's have a look. We've also had Kate as well respond. Thanks, Ashlyn, for pointing Kate out in our chat as a habit coach here. So she has responded to a question there. But other than that, team, I think we have actually gone through all of the questions that have happened. So I really want to take a moment to thank every single one of our presenters this evening. Trish, I'm always in awe listening to you speak and the incredible things that are happening within this organisation to make sure that we're maintaining evidence-based practices. Ashlyn, Alicia and Benny, wow, what incredible careers you've had. I cannot understate that enough, and listening to you all speak was just very empowering and a great opportunity for all of our graduates. So thank you. And Gemma, always a delight. I love working with you and everyone in our careers team. So if you do want to reach out to Gemma directly, I'm sure she'd happily take your phone call tomorrow morning.
Absolutely. Thanks, Danny.
Not tonight because it is a bit late and dinner is calling.
Tomorrow's good.
So I can see our attendees are dropping off. So thank you so much, everyone. That's the official end tonight.
Thanks.
lovely
Thanks for everyone
evening.
giving up your nights to come and listen too. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.